Well, hey there, everybody. 1102. We are beginning our week 6. So, after this week, we will have 2 weeks left of our course. So, um, just to start off, of course, this video is being recorded Sunday. Now, as of Friday, a couple days ago, I was pretty concerned in that not many of us, hardly any of us, like three of us at that point out of both sections of the class, so we're talking 40 plus people, had contributed to the discussion forum assignment. Okay. Now, as of checking this morning, this is 9:48 a.m. Sunday the 19th. A few more. Still a little concerning that it's not more. So that is your grade, everybody. I do this every week. I post a video and an announcement telling you what you got to do. Okay. If you ever have any questions or you have an issue, it's on you to let me know so that we can work something out. Okay. So hopefully everybody did that assignment by tonight on my time, and as of you all viewing this Monday, hopefully you have turned it in. So what's on tap for this week? Well, we have our second literary analysis essay. Our first one was on the story by Flannery O'Connor, A Good Man is Hard to Find. So our next one is on a poem, and this is on pages 737 to 738 in Portable Literature. Okay, I've incorporated the link of the chapter in which Dover Beach appears. That's chapter 24, Reading More Poetry. So when you go into the week 6 folder, number 1, you'll see how to write a literary argument. Argument analysis, we're kind of using those terms interchangeably for our purposes, but how to write a literary argument, literary analysis argument. Chapter 2, I have placed that there as well. If you need a refresher, that was in our Flannery O'Connor paper folder as well for week 3. So in case you need a reminder on how to approach the essay here, that's there. But also the chapter 24 link, Reading More Poetry. Again, the Matthew Arnold poem Dover Beach is in chapter 24, pages 737 to 738. Now, it's my prompt, okay? There's not a question in the book, so the prompt is in our week 6 announcement. So I will read it for you here. In a 2 to 3 page essay in MLA format using textual evidence, in-text citations, and a works cited page from our text edition of the poem, okay? You need to cite from the poem itself. You need a works cited page. Okay, address the following prompt. Identify what you consider to be the poem's most revelatory images, and then base your essay around your answer, what will be your thesis statement, to this question. How do the images you've identified work to illustrate the poem's overall tone and theme? So first you have to identify in the poem the images that stand out to you most, okay? Images are things that we could see. Those are visual images, but also appealing to the other senses. What about audio images, if you will? What about tactile images, okay? Things that we could perceive with the senses, things, okay, in the poem, all right? So the moon is in the poem. The sea is in the poem, okay? Those are images, all right? Now, once you've kind of cobbled together a little mental list or an actual list, whatever you want to do, of these images, ask yourself, how are these images working to convey the poem's tone? So first you might ask yourself, what is the tone of this poem? A tone is kind of like the speaker's attitude about his or her subject. Okay, I will tell you what the subject is, what the purpose of this poem is, what it's directed towards. Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. This is a writer, a poet in the latter half of 19th century in Victorian England, when scientific progress is reaching such a point, industrial progress is reaching such a point where it seems that the value of the human being is starting to erode. Okay, the spiritual value, the cosmic value of the human being is starting to diminish. It's as though, and you could find this in Karl Marx as well during this time, writing in Germany and Europe around the same time, um, that people are being reduced to bags of flesh, material. Okay, so the speaker in this poem is kind of uh, uh, bemoaning this new state of affairs, that the human being is starting to lose his value as something more than just a bag of meat. Okay, um, and a big part of this is the loss of faith. Okay, speaking in very general terms here, due to all the advancements in science, remember, during this general time frame, we have Darwin, the origin of species. Did God create us? Do we evolve from apes? That's a huge, or maybe you could reconcile the two. Okay, um, all the belief systems during this time have, it's kind of like the rug having been pulled out from under you. All the things that you thought you could have faith in, the certainty that you thought you had, has been wiped away. What do you do? If that happens to you, say it happens to you now, think of our current situation here. You thought things were just humming along, okay? Great economic progress. Things are looking up. People have jobs. And then it's all blown to smithereens because of this coronavirus, or the reaction to the coronavirus, whatever your thoughts are on that. Well, a little personal insight here. I feel a lot like the speaker in Dover Beach during these times. I'm kind of melancholy. I'm kind of forlorn. I'm kind of bummed. Okay, I'm sure you guys are too. No more prom. Okay, no more all those rites of passage being an upper level high school student. The rug yanked out from under you. What do you do? Okay, so what is kind of the theme here? So the tone, I would say, is sort of a sort of a overall kind of a pessimistic tone, but there's hope. There's a silver lining in this poem. Okay, what's the theme? Remember, a theme is a large idea. Okay, a prevailing, unifying idea that is explored in the work. Okay. So, what is the theme? What's the big idea? What's going on? What are the concepts, or the concept working in this poem? Okay, but you're using the images you've identified to define the tone and the theme, and you're basing your paper on those two aspects. So, in your thesis, I should see something about the tone you've identified and the theme that you've identified. Now, there might be various tones and themes, but I want you all to give me what you think is the primary tone and the primary theme. Okay? All right, so that's going to be our second literary analysis, due by Sunday the 26th. We also have a blog this week. Remember, blogs are voluntary. You're encouraged to do them. This is only our second blog for this half. The blog asks you, remember the last blog had you comment on the Neil Gaiman How to Talk to Girls at Parties and the William Faulkner A Rose for Emily stories, your opinions, comments there. But since we've had a week or so without a blog, it's going from the Zadie Smith story, The Girl with the Bangs, remember that one, all the way to the poetry that we finished with this week, the Sylvia Plath poem, Metaphors, I think was our last poem. In the discussion forum, part of that assignment. So you've got a large, big range of things you could talk about, okay? You could talk about several of them, one of the stories, one of the poems. It's up to you, okay? You just have to follow the directions if you want that bonus, okay? All right. Finally, in 2 weeks' time, I will tell you right now, the due date for our final MLA research essay on Hamlet is going to be Friday, May the 8th. Okay? Final grades are due May 11th, that Monday. Okay? This is according to the college's schedule, GNTC. Okay, so if you want to put it on your calendar, my Hamlet paper is due by May the 8th. It is a Friday. It's going to be due a minute before midnight, like most of our assignments are. Okay. So I give you some of the specs there. MLA research essay. It's a Galileo resource essay. You go into the scholarly databases from Galileo, look at the literature, literary criticism section, the databases there. 4 to 6 pages, okay, 3 to 5 sources. This is the minimum, okay. Here is your thesis for this final paper is going to answer this question. Based on your reading of and research on Hamlet's to be or not to be soliloquy, Act 3, Scene 1, lines 63 to 97, what is your conclusion regarding the true nature of Hamlet's character? Is he mad or insane? Is he trapped in a performance? Does he have a true sense of self? Is he an embodiment of a certain critique Shakespeare might be making about human nature? Okay? Who is this guy, Hamlet? You really get a lot of who he is from his major soliloquies in the play, of which there are, say, about 5 or so. Okay? This is the big one. This is like the Titanic piece of literature from the Western canon, to be or not to be. Contemplating what it means to be a human, what's existence for, is there an afterlife? He's getting lost in thought here. He's kind of a neurotic, okay? If you don't know what that means, you might want to look it up. A neurotic is somebody who's always anxiously worried about all the minutiae of life, okay? And if you are a neurotic, you are kind of frozen. You're static, okay? It's hard to make progress. It's hard to grow as a person if you are just constantly worrying, constantly questioning. Eventually, you gotta go get it. You gotta achieve something. Okay? It's great to think and have lofty thoughts, but those thoughts, assuming they're good, virtuous thoughts, need to map onto some good, virtuous action. Okay? So, what I've given you to help you in your understanding of the poem are some supplementary materials. You'll now see in lessons a folder at the bottom entitled Hamlet. You could click it. There is an attachment there about some of the themes and big ideas going on in the play. Okay. There's also a reading or a performance of the soliloquy to be or not to be done by a wonderful actor, British actor, David Tennant. Now, if anybody is a Doctor Who fan, I was never a big fan of that series for what it's worth. I'm not huge into sci-fi like that. He was one of the recent Doctor Who doctors, okay? He's also in a great series called Broadchurch, if you like true crime. He was the villain in Jessica Jones Season 1 in Netflix. David Tennant, a fantastic actor. He's in some other series as well. He gives the to be or not to be speech here, the soliloquy here. And you really get a sense of the emotional and spiritual weight, everything weighing down on the character of Hamlet. David Tennant gives you that feeling in spades here, okay? So it might be worth checking that out. It's only a few minutes, okay? And then there's the Hamlet themes and literary devices, okay? You can look at that too to help ground your understanding and reading of the play, but specifically Act 3, Scene 1, lines 63 to 97. Remember, you're not writing on the whole play. Now, it's helpful to have read the whole play for some context so you know what the heck's going on, okay? But our research is going to focus, our paper is going to focus on that single soliloquy. You could bring in other things as you see fit, but that's our focus. How is Hamlet's character illustrated in that soliloquy, okay? So you might want to get to doing some preliminary research. Go on those literary databases. Now you're going to have to type in more than just Hamlet. You're going to get tons and tons and tons of information, okay? Narrow your search. Maybe Hamlet soliloquy. Maybe Hamlet soliloquy to be or not to be. Act 3, Scene 1, something like that, okay? Academic journal articles, that's what we're looking for, okay? So it's a good idea to get going on that. So just to recap, okay? This week, second literary analysis essay on Matthew Arnold's Dover Beach. Prompt is in the announcement. Second blog opportunity, anything we've read from Zadie Smith from this past slate of poems and the story Rocking Horse Winter, but ending with Metaphors by Sylvia Plath. And then in 2 weeks' time, due by the 8th of May, is our final MLA research essay. Okay? So, you know what you have to do? You got time. Don't hesitate if you need to ask me for help or guidance. Okay? I am here to help you all to the best that I can. I hope we all have our issues resolved with accessing the e-text by now. From what I understand, we are or close to having it all resolved. Okay, everybody. So I think that's going to wrap it up. And I hope you all have a great week. And I will talk to you again at the beginning of next week. See you then.